It's December 18th, 2025. Currently, it is about 10 minutes after 2. First item is public comments. Any citizens who desire to address the council on any matter may do so, as long as it's listed on the workshop agenda. Public comments will be received during this portion of the meeting. Please limit those comments to 3 minutes. No discussion or final action will be taken by the council. Mr. Lutz, were you wanting to speak today, or were you just signing in attendance?
Just have some concerns on the rezoning.
All right, if you'll please step to the podium there and state your name for us, kind of like what you've done in the city council. Just step right up there to that podium. But this is the time we're doing public comments. Yeah, we do those right at the beginning.
I am having some concerns with the proposal to rezone some property, about 900 acres on Old Howard Road. I voiced the opinion that maybe the city is a little bit early on this decision, in the sense that the EDC already has about 2,000 acres available, shovel ready, they say, in the industrial park. Why do we want to add another 1,000 acres almost to that? The mayor and everybody said, well, the owner, which is the Economic Development Corporation, has asked voluntary annexation of this property. Well, just because they've asked for it, do we really want to think, okay, you're in? Or do we want to approach this slowly? Maybe annex just a couple hundred acres first to start. See how that impacts the local community out there, the rural community. So maybe we want to postpone this decision for now. Look at this a little further. Give the local residents, such as myself, a clearer, more transparent explanation on why we're doing this, versus just arbitrarily saying the owner wants to have it done, let's do it. And shouldn't have some, or at least haven't been explained to me, why we want to do it. Why? You want an explanation for it, other than saying, well, the owner wants to do it, we'll do it. So I don't know. I'm not against economic development for the city, but to that extent, and no transparent explanation for it. That's all I'm asking. So maybe consider just delaying this for, a little bit, and give the residents out there a little idea exactly why we're doing it now instead of later at all. Right?
The transparent explanation is that the Temple Economic Development Corporation is the city's contractor to promote economic development within the city. And so they will be looking for and ultimately selling and locating future economic development projects. So some sort of business will end up out there, and over time it will fill up. So there's nothing, everything is transparent. That is always the intent of the Temple Economic Development Corporation. That is what they do. And so it just makes more sense to do all of them at once rather than bring back 200 acres at a time. So we're just, now you're not going to see any changes out there, right now. It's just simply, it's a paperwork designation of the annexation. That's all it is. There's not going to be earth movers out there tomorrow moving dirt.
Yeah, that's what I understand, or at least a part of it.
Yeah.
And maybe
It's just it's a step that is required to be taken, and so we're just taking it now. That's all.
They don't already have acreage available elsewhere in the park. We're going to add another section to this park, almost doubles what they already have.
That's the plan. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Now we'll move on to the regular work session. We will discuss if may be needed any regular meeting agenda items for the meeting posted for tonight. So I see that we're going to pull agenda items J, K, and Z on the consent for voting purposes. Is there anything else that needs to be pulled? Staff? Anything needs further discussion?
Mayor, I would, nothing for pulling, I would just highlight that there's a few items on the consent agenda related to solid waste vehicle purchases. I know that's always of interest as we've had some challenges over the last few months, so items C, E, and G, all relate to, I think D does as well, relates to, solid waste trucks. So we've got a brush truck, a couple of frontline trucks, which are much needed, and a roll-off truck as well. Any other ones, Justin, that you recall? Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's it.
I think that's all of them. Thank you.
I just met Mr. Cook, the plate director. Where's he? Yeah.
Operation manager.
Oh, operations? Oh, I'm sorry. So I was thinking, we're making your job easier. We're buying you a bunch of new trucks. Shouldn't have to repair them. All right, very good. Anything else? We'll pull those three items. Thank you for pointing the good news out. That's always good. Council, anything? All right. We'll pull J, K, and Z. Aaron, did you want to do a planning update?
Great. The zoning case that you have before you and your regular agenda, is proposed to change the zoning from two families to planned development to mid-neighborhood edge zone. So this is the subject property. There was a former residence on this property. It has since been demolished. This is directly adjacent to Old Jody's and their existing parking. And so what they are planning to do with this is to enhance their parking in this location. So as you can see here, the Old Jody's restaurant is right there to the left of the page. And all the parkings are there. So what this will do is expand capacity. Currently, they have 39 spaces. This will add an additional 15 spaces to what they have. So what they'll do is they'll do some restriping, and then there will be a new total of 53 spaces. They also show some internal circulation that they'll be able to achieve, so people won't have to come out into the public roadway onto South Main Street, and they'll be achieved that way. Then also we can see with the new parking area, on the top of the screen, the new parking spaces, those green areas, shown at the top and the bottom, are the landscape areas which do comply with the TMED standards as well as, what they have been doing. So just here's just a little bit clearer. So you can see on the top left, that's facing north where the subject property is to the right. So you can see there's no house there any longer. And then there is an adjacent home that's right next to it. Then you can see the existing lot and where that landscape median is adjacent to, in their parking lot. And then some of the homes on South Main Street that are across the street from. So here is the zoning in the area. So you can see, you currently have the TMED zoning for the parking over there, and then you have the, as well as, the Old Jody's restaurant. You have the PD, general retail within this area. You also have a conditional use permit and then, some single family ones. So this, proposed zoning, will be the exact same as what is, directly south for the other. So this does comply, completely with our future development map as well as our thoroughfare plan. There is existing wastewater and water, although it's not necessary for the parking lot construction. So you can see in the compliance summary, how it complies with all of our planning documents we have in place. When we did notify property owners within 200 feet, we received 1 response and agreement, 0 in disagreement. We did take this to the Planning and Zoning Commission at their December 2nd meeting, and they unanimously recommended approval with a vote of 5-0. The PD conditions are listed on this page, so it will be subject to the site development plan that you saw. This landscaping, as I mentioned, will need to comply with those TMED standards. Any parking for the adjacent restaurant will need to be paved and striped for the development or site plan. And if there is a conflict between the site development plan and the text of the plan development ordinance, the stricter or more specific standard would apply. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council? Good, thank you, ma'am. Moving on to item 2 is to discuss, discussion regarding the building concerns at Salmon's Community Center and the Summit Recreation Center.
Good afternoon, everyone. So to give you an update on the Siemens Community Center as to where we stand, this is a building that's currently closed. So I just want to give you an update as to where we're at, with regards to moving forward. So just give you a little history of this building. It was originally constructed back in 1921. The blue dash lines, in the bottom half there shows the original structure. Since its construction in 1921, it was added on many times. As it was, and basically they left the original roofs as they added on to it. So there's a lot of weight on that building overall. In May of 2024, of course, that's when we had high winds hit our area, tornadoes, but was not tornadic winds in this area per se, but it did damage out the shingles on the roof. So because of that, in December 2024, we had a roofing contractor look at this building with us to give us a proposal to replace the roof. And they were concerned to even get up on the roof because of dips they saw in the structure of the roof and so forth. So that led them to go inside and go in the attic space. And that's where they saw a conglomeration of old roofs. Of course, we knew it was there, I guess, but just reconstruction points. So staff's response to this in January 2025, we contacted Wiz, Jenny, and Elsener, referred to them as WJE. They specialize, they're a forensic like engineering company. So they're the ones, they have PhDs, a lot of them, but they're the ones that like to do research and kind of figure out why things happen. Not necessarily designing new and that sort of thing, but why did things fail and so forth. So it took a little bit to get them engaged and on site and so forth, just because of our processes. But in March, if you recall, last March, we had a lot of high winds, a lot of strong winds. So, in talking to Kevin Beavers, and so forth, we made a staff decision or recommendation that we close that facility until the structural assessment could be complete. WJE completed their assessment on site on March 17th, and when they left that day, it's like, we agree with your assessment. This facility needs to stay closed until you can make the necessary repairs. But we didn't receive their final report until May 13th of 2025. In saying that, I said, well, let's go ahead. Can we engage you to basically design the improvements? And that's not their expertise. Especially if we were talking about really tearing off a roof and putting it back and so forth. They'll help make repairs, but not necessarily like doing a major renovation to part of the building. But what their assessment did say that, and so got a little bit ahead of myself there, but their findings were that there are structural concerns identified not only in the roof structure, but also the facade, the original brick structure of the building. I've got some photos coming up of that. There are many poorly engaged construction connections in the roof framing structure. And it's potentially overlighted, like we've said, because the multitude of roofs that have been added on over the years. It's top heavy and it's pushing down and creating that stress. Their recommendation was to continue closure of the center for safety reasons and structural concerns, and to fully remove and replace the entire roof structure on the south side where it's designated on the bottom half there, the dark red portion, to remove that. And that's not just saying take off the roof shingles, but that's like opening the whole thing up and exposing, like you could look down inside that building. That's what they're recommending. Then we had some localized repairs in the top where it's more orangey. They're saying that we need to do some repairs in that area. And basically no repairs, where basically you see the green on the top. That was the latest addition we did back in 2018. This is just some photographs from the reports. There's a lot more in the report, but I just picked a few with the exterior wall structural concerns. Just seeing the cracking in the bricks. The bottom right is the patio. The one to the left on the bottom is, they're pointing out the cracks going down diagonally on the south side of the building, and then the foundation itself, how it is showing signs of stress. Inside in the attic space, this is just a sample of issues that they found, where basically these are all signs of where we don't have adequate structural support in the roof structure. Just a few more pictures there. You can see where that board, the big picture, that should be sitting really flat down on the board if you're gonna have structural capacity there, and it's just not. And this is looking back, but you can see how the multitude, but in addition to the roof structure, when we say taking the roof off, we actually have HVAC components all intertwined in here, along with electrical lines. We have data lines, we have plumbing lines, we have gas lines. All of that is intertwined in this building. Our response to this, again, what I started out saying, got ahead of myself, is we talked to WJE, is like, well, give us a proposal for doing the repairs that you're recommending, and that really isn't their specialty. So we contacted then Garcia Architects to help us evaluate further. At first it was to do that, but they said, really, can we take this kind of strategize here and take smaller steps rather than just assuming we can make this happen. So they did a feasibility study for us based on getting another structural engineer involved in it. And actually they had challenges trying to get a structural engineer on board, just because of kind of the challenging nature of this project. Not everybody was jumping up and down, pick me, pick me. In August 18th, finally, we were able to issue a notice to proceed to Garcia for the feasibility study. That would also include some opinions of probable cost as to what it would cost to repair the building versus rebuild it, and that sort of thing. And then on September 29th, we did receive Garcia's feasibility study. Their report indicated they did confirm WJE's assessment. Basically the same roofs as to we need to totally tear this off, we can do localized repairs here. They agreed with all that. The other thing they did is they did it a little bit further and looked at the impact that the tornado had on it. Again, this building did not incur the tornadic winds, but if this building did incur tornadic winds, they basically concluded it would not perform well. All the same, when we've got 30 and 35-mile-per-hour winds in the city, it's concerning even at that level. Their recommendations, again, the same as it was under WJE's report. On top of the roof, over the years, there has always been, I can recall staff saying, getting called out to Sam's Community Center again, we've got a sewer blockage and so forth. So in thinking about that one a little deeper, we want to understand what that issue really is. And so what we did is we have actually scoped the wastewater line as to why is it that we're having to basically clean out the sewer lines. And ultimately what we have is a collapsed clay tile sewer line underneath the middle of it. So where you can see in blue, right in the middle, right through here, this is all clay sewer type. This is the south. This is the bad roof. And then going out onto the deck, we also have a bad line right there. That's all clay tile. You can see with the green lines, we have restrooms in this facility in the upper right, and then newer restrooms over here. This is all PVC lines, and those are okay. Those are all clear. That's all good. But we actually have a full stoppage in the line since we haven't been using it for several months. A full stoppage in the line right here, right now. So the option is probably we need to, if indeed we renovate this facility, we need to fix this at the same time. And it won't be simple, and you can see the area we're going into is the area where we're just planning to do localized repairs. really to get the 4-foot wide swath that we need in order to excavate and get that 4-foot deep line out of there. We need to go a little bit farther into really a total removal of the root system. The risk, of course, associated with that, just the lifespan of that repair. We can do the repair, but just the lifespan, there's still old water lines there in the building and just foundation concerns in general. Another challenge with this building, just to point it out, is electrical and mechanical. As I already said, everything's intertwined into those roofing numbers and so forth, but the electrical system in this building does not meet code. So we would have to upgrade that as part of it if indeed we renovate it. So this is the update I wanted to provide you with today as to where we are with this. Bryn, did you have any comments you wanted to add with regards to it?
Thank you for that update, Belinda. Yeah, we know that the facility has been closed for several months and we know that there's a lot of concerns, especially from the patrons who rely on that center and use it from day to day. Of course, council knows we have done our best to accommodate the programming of that front that has historically happened at the facility at other city facilities. But part of the importance of that facility is just the community that it the place to be for some of our older residents. So it's certainly a missing piece in the services that we have that we've historically provided. And we know that there's a lot of concern and questions about when is the facility going to be available again. So we wanted to provide the update to share that there are some very significant challenges that are being faced. But the building is certainly not just a simple kind of roof needs to be patched up or even, the shingles replaced. It is a significant and very widespread structural issues. And with a building that is at that age and has had that many iterations of remodels and expansions, it's just a very complicated project. It's also complicated because the funding that's available to us to address the issue differs based on whether we're talking about a remodel or a rebuild of the facility. So we are not quite at the point that staff is ready to bring forward a final recommendation to you, but we know that the facility is being missed by many in our community, and so we wanted to provide an interim update and let you know we're working hard on it and we're working as quickly as we can to identify a feasible option to bring you so that we can get that asset back into the community.
We've talked about this a few times, and every time it seems like it gets worse, things get ended up. So really, I mean, what is being considered? I know financing is an issue. We've talked about that. So financing aside, what other options realistically are being considered that make any sense whatsoever, other than just knocking it down?
Well, there's only really three options, repair it, rebuild it, or choose to permanently close it and demolish it and not rebuild it. And so now, in each option, there's sub options of if you demolish it and rebuild it, do you rebuild it exactly at its current size? Can it be smaller? Does it have to be bigger? Those considerations. But the city, the main issue in that we really don't have an option to bring you at this time is that bond funding, CO bond funding can be used for repair. It cannot be used for replacement. And we don't really know if there's a path for repair right now.
Oh, shame.
Yes. But where there's a will, there's a way. So give us a little bit more time. We wanted to bring the update because we know it's important. Give us a little bit more time and we hope to bring you some solutions that are I don't even want to say good, but that are solid choices for you to consider from.
Bryn, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, you and Melinda and Aaron and I sat in your office and we talked about 3 different options. And what I'm hearing today, maybe some additional information has come to light that
The sewer line that Belinda just briefed you on. And so, I told you in our last council meeting that we would have this update. So we wanted to keep it. We just didn't feel like we were prepared to give you options quite yet because more information, primarily the utility association, the electrical issues. We've had our building official out. We're gonna have some trusted community members that are in the business come out in the next few weeks to help us look through it, but, financially, the most viable option in terms of funding mechanism is repair. But all signs point to that not being a good choice. But replacement is not an option under most funding scenarios. So I'm sorry, I don't have a recommendation for you at this point. But we are still thinking through what we can do. And I anticipate after the first of the year, we can have an additional conversation where maybe we can bring a recommendation.
We had a lady speak, was it last week? 2 weeks ago or
Last
2 meetings
meeting,
ago?
uh-huh.
Yeah. Is there any way we can get in touch with those folks? Is there a mailing list or something so we could pass that information out just so they feel like they may not like the information, but at
Sure.
least they have that connection?
Yes.
Yeah.
Heather can.
So-
Looking at Heather,
That'd be
she can
great.
help me with it.
Thank you.
So the reprogramming, is it being attended at the new facilities? I mean, so real quickly, what programs have been moved, where have they been moved to, and are they getting the attendance that they were getting before Salmon's issue?
They've been moved to, various other facilities, including Gober. There were some at Salmon's, I mean, Summit, I don't know that they, I don't, it's depending on what it is, they try to place it somewhere. I mean, even the, Wilson Rec, but what I'm thinking of is the facility out where the skate rink is right now.
Oh, Sunglow.
Sunglow building, we use that for some, so they have hosted the programming where they can and in an existing facility.
Just sort of a synergy, it sounds like, is missing.
Right, because if you think about, if you've ever visited that facility, you walk in and you'll see, folks playing dominoes around a table, or, so they're not necessarily in a program, a class that the city's running. They were just enjoying the fellowship of the facility itself. And so that really we don't have the ability to replicate that because we don't have a facility that we can offer. So we can have, chair yoga at the Summit, but that is just a piece of what the Summit, the Salmon's Community Center was about.
Surely at church, it's not happening. And I hear about it frequently.
Surely it's not.
Chill out, Shirley.
And, I don't know the numbers, Mayor. We can see what data we have, but that this is one of those things that breaks my heart because, it may not be a lot of people who use this facility, but for those that do, it can be a really critical lifeline for their honestly, their wellness, their health, because it's a place where, they may not, that might be their interaction. So it is hard to not have, like, here's what we can do, and this, let's go get it done. So, I think that we have all of the minds on it and trying to figure out, something that we can bring you that, makes sense. It's difficult to recommend a repair, knowing everything that we know now.
Right. Yep. I think heartbroken throughout work because the people that I've spoken to, that was their socialization, it seems like, for the most part.
I think the building has some sentimentality to it.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for that.
So normally we bring a briefing with options and recommendations, and notably that's not in here, but we just felt like it's such an important issue to keep informed on that we wanted to let you know where we were, and we're gonna keep working on it and hopefully we'll have some options to present in the near term.
Linda, do you know the water lines, are they under the site too? And the water lines that are, the old ones? We don't know.
I'm thinking there's some under there, probably not the roof, Very well, we could have
The original-
abandoned them and they're probably going above, several of them. So, it's on the
What was the question?
water lines.
Oh, the old water lines that are from 22 that are old, till they understand.
No, clay, so the clay is the last, the oldest stuff that's going, everything's been in wall since a lot. It's a combination of PVC. There's no galvanized or anything that I'm aware of. It's hanging on there. So a lot of it's been, fairly modernized, but it's, yeah, severe really taking.
Okay, doing Summit?
Yep.
Summer Recreation Center, similar issues, but different. So the Summit Recreation Center, was originally constructed in 1972, not as a city-owned building, but as a racquetball court. Not sure when we actually acquired it as a city, as the city. 1972, I believe, is when it was built. It basically entailed two sections of the building. There was a northern section that houses, which we still use today, two racquetball courts right up here. And then this section is original, where we have basically your main entrance here. We've got men's locker room and women's locker room, workout equipment in here, and a pool room in that area right there. Then as part of GL bond, in 2008, we expanded the facility by 6,000 square feet up in the northwest quadrant of the facility. The interesting thing about the original construction, though, it was constructed with sloped post-tension concrete walls, 4.5 inches thick and so forth. So the challenge with that is they're like spiraled through the concrete. We think possibly formed on site and so forth, because they're not real consistent as to the way they were, it's in there. And then there's a sealant joint, so we're in the tilt wall, and then the slab, the only barrier between the wall and the foundation is a caulk joint. Yeah. So what's happened was, in 2024, October 2024, we were called over looking at the shower. We knew that we had some issues. You can see by the tile, it's probably the original 1970s tile. But we saw how the tiles, or noticed how the tiles buckle. And we thought, well, we can fix that. We've got a great tile now on our maintenance staff. So we went ahead and we actually could find the tile that we needed that would match and so forth, but it took us a while to get it in. So in February 2025, Elias is our tile guy, but he does so much more, very little in tiling. But anyway, he started tearing off that buckling tile, and lo and behold, what he found was this, which is a root of some type of either tree, bush, or whatever, but it's basically growing up the walls of the shower. And there's a gap in between that shower wall and the outer wall that starts at like, 14 inches.
You can squeeze in there, probably 22, something like that. You can get
Okay.
in there.
And then it just goes up like this to the wall of the shower, and then you've got the exterior wall this way. But ultimately, in the men's shower at least, this is what was happening. And so what you see in that left is after he pulled that off, and what you see is dark there is roots basically growing up there. So what's wrong? We went to our go-to for forensics to find out what is our problem, how do we fix it. WJE, we engaged them to assess the root issue. Once they got in there and we actually opened up the wall, we found that basically the steel studs, the metal studs had all corroded away behind the shower wall. So what was holding up, that's the reason that the tile wall was buckling. And so ultimately, the specialist in the water infiltration said, hey, I would need to get a structural engineer involved. So they came out then and did a structural assessment of it. Basically, issues, I'm gonna outline then the issues that we found. So basically, there is a gap between the tilt wall and the foundation bearing plate, and there's cracks in the tilt wall too. So that's allowing moisture into the building, and yes, it was allowing the roots to grow, but it was also corroding anything metal that it was touching, it was corroding it away. The effects of issue one, just as I've kind of already shown you here, this is a metal stud where basically there's nothing left of it. The other thing that it did is there's columns, so the structural support for the building itself is structural columns, and so the moisture is also corroding away the steel columns, which is the main support for the building. And you can actually see in one of the columns where it's actually had gone all the way through. And basically this is just a base of where the column sat. Another issue was that at the column bases that I just referred to, the concrete pad beneath it are cracking and spalling in those spots too. So in addition to not having a good structural support with the metal column, you actually don't have a good base also that the columns are sitting on. Issue 3, cracking and spalling around several of the post-tension anchors and steel in the walls itself. That rebar-like stuff, the strands that hold it together like rebar, they're becoming exposed, and that's not good either. So WJE did a structural analysis, and basically the ones they could get to, which was primarily just C1 and C2, we call it the columns, and this is the men's locker room. This is the shower that I was showing you the pictures of right there. C1, they said, it is, its capacity right now is at 75%. You can't do too much more, or we can't degrade too much more, or it's to the point where, I recommend it's gonna fail. This one though is, this column right here is worse. It's at 94% of its capacity. So that's not good. But their conclusions, WJE's conclusion was based on our observations and subsequent analysis, we do not believe that the building is unsafe. However, continued corrosion and further reduction in the column capacity could eventually reach the point that structural failure could occur. So we need to take care of it if we're going to continue using the building. So they recommended to us some priority repairs, that being, get these repairs done within a year. The first repair was to clean and recoat those columns that are corroding at their base and so forth. So down here, and this is the men's locker room area, these are the 2 columns that they can easily get to. We know those are bad. And this is behind a hot tub, and we're pretty sure it's bad too. And after we did this original assessment, we have since opened up in the women's locker room where you see these yellow X's here. We have corrosion where basically the column was corroded away in there. It doesn't have the root issue, but it does have, it's been getting moist over the years. And this is in the pool chemical room. Here we opened this up, same issue with this one right here also. We weren't able, because of pool equipment, get to this column over here, but we are very, we think it's pretty probable that that one is bad too. The good news is where the green arrows are, those are in good condition. So no problems there. The challenge in all of this is, yes, we can fix this, we can make it better for the short term at least, but they got to weld in a confined space in order to do this. Priority 2, just perform the concrete repairs that we need to restore some structural integrity to the bases, stabilize the tilt wall panels where we're seeing that those have some spalling in them. Priority repair number 4 is inject cracks around the embedded locations, just basically fix those tilt wall panels. And then of course, we need to get that caulk joint, a good caulk joint in there between the foundation of the building and the tilt walls. And priority 6, after we've got that done, then we need to put everything back, because we're basically going to have to tear out the finishes in the men's locker room, the women's locker room, the hot tubs, 2 hot tubs, 2 saunas, all of that in order to make the repairs we need to make. We're gonna have to tear all that out and then put it all back. Our proposed strategy, we already have WJE working on design of this. And we are want to fulfill those short-term repairs based on your previous guidance. However, when we originally reported to you that we thought the repairs would be $500,000, and we don't have a great crystal ball, but we're thinking based on what we found in our other openings that it's creeped up there. So we're thinking more like $750,000. Our anticipated timeline on this project is to finish the design by the end of February. Basically award a contract to Clark Roofing for the repairs under a job order contract. Hopefully they can price it out then in March and we can get a contract ordered. underway and basically construction going over the summer months when we have other facilities opened, outdoor facilities, and get the repairs complete by August. Probably in turning to Austin, he's probably looking at me, he's like, Belinda, that's aggressive, but
With you.
we think we can do it. Tony's shaking his head too. Tony Zavala, our facility services division director, so this is that too. So. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions with regards to the summit.
You told us before about the restroom situation. There's still open restrooms for.
There is still, the restrooms have not been impacted. The only thing
Just the
impacted,
shower.
as far as I know at this time, is the men do not have a shower facility. I think that's right. Is that right? That's right. I've been using the showers outside. I've been pool.
$750,000 gives how much more life?
Showers
5
and
years.
access out. from-
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's be clear.
Well, 5 years is what you would hope to get out of that. But structural instability as it is, and the way it's at heat up like that, if you go farther into it, it's hard for anybody to give you something accurate.
Yeah.
But
So that buys you 5 years to plan something new
yes, sir.
or not. I mean, make further plan. Yeah. Okay. Council, anything for Ms. Mackey? Lynn, anything else? Okay, okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 3 is to receive departmental updates from Public Works, which will include fleet, solid waste, and transportation.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. You're going to hear from several of your public works staff this afternoon. Up first is your fleet operations manager, Tim Cook. Tim Cook served our country in the U.S. Army for 20 years. That wasn't enough to go through, then he decided to become part of our fleet staff. So he's been with us almost a year.
Good afternoon. As introduced, I'm Tim Cook. I'm the operations manager for Fleet, briefing on behalf of our Department of Fleet Services and our Director of Season Port. What you see here in this picture is everybody that makes the city of Temple run as well as it can, right? And what I hope you've noticed is there's an increase to personnel there, which is a huge assistance to the amount of fleet assets that we received over the last 2 or 3 years. So as this team gels together, we anticipate taking fleet to another level that it hasn't been at in quite some time. The mission statement at the bottom, what I'd like to point out is this second line where you see the term proactive maintenance. That is our terminology that we are using to try and get after getting into maintenance prior to the breakdowns happen, right? So if no questions, I'll move on
Can I
to.
ask you something on the picture?
By all means.
I think, isn't the guy, one from the left or one from the right, isn't he at Temple High School? Did he
Yeah.
come from their
Yes, and that is a,
CTE program?
I'm telling you, I mean, I had a high school program as well, but it was nowhere on the level of Temple High School. We've met with their instructors, they are teaching them kids the right way. So, when he came in and did his internship over the summer, his name's David Castillo. He impressed us so well that once we got an additional opening with the budget approval, he was the first person that we interviewed and immediately hired, so he's doing great things. So moving on, so this is a breakdown of our task organization, moving from left to right. I'll highlight the blue blocks specifically. Fernando Casino, another retired veteran who just hired on about 2 weeks ago. He's our light duty foreman. And then moving over to the middle half, Ian Hicks, who's our inventory supervisor, Brian Taveras, and Oscar Alamo, which all 3 of those were internal promotions. Immediately upon arrival, when I noticed how good those people were at their jobs and they had that potential to develop and move up to the next level. Once we got the openings, it was a no-brainer. Do the interviews and make sure that they're the best candidates for the job, and they definitely were. Highlighted in our light blue.
Tim, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I'm
So
sorry.
just Oscar, no, you're fine. Oscar is the recently promoted shop foreman who will be in charge of the new night team. So I
Yes.
did want to highlight, that was very important to council, so I just wanted to highlight that.
Yes, and that will get off the ground. We finally finished our third hire for his technicians, and we anticipate doing that right after the new year.
As you go through, highlight the new hires and tell us what, how they are going to fit into the new, whether they're nights, whether they're, just give us a little bit of color around each of those.
Okay, too easy. Well, from the light duty side, not a whole lot of changes. Again, we hired, Mr. Castillo. The other gentleman, you know, there, Danny Lewis, Cameron Smith, they've been here for quite some time. In putting that foreman position in there, so they have some sort of management level that can give them some guidance and hold that shop down. To the right of them, you got Kevin Pennington. He's been there about 4 months. He's our lead service advisor. He is, I've known him for quite a while. So when he interviewed, I've known the devil that I was working with. He is an amazing maintenance administration person, right? And we recently hired Kirsten Dalzell right underneath him to help balance that load between vendors and the work order management process. For the inventory supervisor position, Ian Hicks again, but his team, Rita Castillo, who's been here for quite some time. Charles McDowell, who goes by Ricky, with a recent hire within the last 90 days. And then Justin Sellers was within the last month. By adding those 2 additional positions in that inventory department, it is paying dividends already. Many times we run into the process of a vendor or a manufacturer not being able to get us a part within a day or something because they're coming from Dallas or something. So having that 4th person to be able to get out on the road, procure that part, go up and swipe a P card and make sure we get it in a timely manner is going to increase the efficiency of repairs. And then heavy duty side, the bread and butter of fleet. So Brian handles our unscheduled maintenance program. He's the one who works the 7 to 4 and 8 to 5 shift technicians. And those technicians are from the top to the bottom, Kenneth Moore, who's going on 15 years with the city of Temple. Jason Reisner, who's our lead tech for QA/QC process, which we'll dive into in a couple slides here. It's a quality assurance program. Kerry Woods, also a decorated veteran that is on our day shift and is an augmentee to solid waste between him and Kit Moore. They're passing that off currently. Kaylee Heath, a big win for us. We got an EBT certified technician to work on the fire department assets. And she's been, again, good return on investment ever since she's stepped in the door. Malik, I won't butcher his name, I call him Malik. Heavy duty tech, he's kind of one of those guys that's kind of just getting into the industry. So it does require maybe a little bit more oversight or something like that, but is one of the hardest workers you can find. So definitely an asset to the team in his capacity. Curtis Benjamin, a day shift employee that just hired on about 2 weeks ago. The gentleman's 50 years old, but is in the best shape you've ever seen in his life. And he definitely has shown that he has 25 plus years of experience as a technician. To Michael Grant, another recent hire in Army veteran, hired on actually as a Tech 3. This is incorrect, but his experience allows him to be promoted to that or hired at that level. So that's one of the best things to highlight is outside of ASE certifications and stuff that is a real challenge to get applicants for. Hiring the experience in diesel automotive is what's really helping us get through these repairs. But again, Curtis Benjamin, Michael Grant, Kaylee Heath, all recent hires that we're incorporating into the team. And then you have Ethan Harness. He's a Texas State Technical College graduate, our certified welder for the shop. 20-year-old kid that you could put up against anybody with the amount of experience he has gained since he's been working with us. And then Cody Ford, another recent hire that will go to the nighttime with Oscar Alamo and Stephen Yale. They'll be our PM team along with the third hire, which is his name is Marcus Valdez, but he does not start until right after the new year. That's why we're starting that program when he gets on board. Any questions over their capabilities or?
So where is the city getting these people from? There was some concern during budget time, because number one, whether or not we could find them. Number two, whether or not we could afford them.
Yes.
So it looks like both of those things are working out. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, honestly, to be completely honest, some of these recent hires like Cody Ford, to Michael Grant, even Stephen Yale and Jason Reisner were all hires because the contract on Fort Hood expired and they were furloughed. So by the luck of the draw, that happened at the time that we got some openings and we gained a lot of experience in the shop.
Hopefully it's a permanent program.
Yes. They ain't going nowhere, trust me. They like where they work now. This slide is what depicts kind of our lines of effort and the foundation of how we manage maintenance. The two primary things in our foundation are people, what we just discussed, and maintenance management, making sure that we manage and be as creative as possible with repairs, especially when we have issues with vendors or manufacturers being able to get us parts in time, correct? And with those lines of effort, each have key tasks, which I'll go over here in the next couple slides. They've allowed us to go from a 77% operational readiness rate to a 90% fit availability rate. So, there has been an increase. Some of that is just preventive maintenance and getting ahead of that, because it wasn't a thing that was happening necessarily when I first got here. And making sure we stock common failing parts and stuff with our inventory management and the parts that take those long lead times. And then just being efficient with our work order process and making sure we have stuff in the correct status. So if it's out there on the road, even though it's waiting on a part, it's not eating downtime and painting the wrong picture for our business. All right, so the first line of effort and the key tasks that are involved, I won't go through each one of them, but I'll highlight the ones that are mainly important to us. One, as you saw with the personnel chart, task organization was real important to us. We wanted to make sure we manage our talents effectively. When we notice that we have a employee that maybe is at the beginning of their career when it comes to this industry, we make sure that they're aligned with somebody that has that experience so they can kind of bring them up to speed in a quicker fashion. And then developing a deliberate onboarding plan where we don't just throw our technicians to the wolves. We have a 6-week process of them going from senior technicians and foremen and completing repairs that we know that they're going to run into on their own. And once they've shown proficiency in those tasks, whatever, that's when we kind of allow them to be assigned to their own original assets. Maintenance management, again, the work order process is the biggest piece of that. Knowing that the work orders are in the correct status, and we developed a deliberate process of how we open and close work orders to more efficiently, make sure that the operator is completely aware as they're turning that equipment in and signing it in, who's working on their equipment, and we get accurate information from those operators firsthand, whether that be updating mileage, hours, and that's helped everything from an accurate preventive maintenance schedule to just decreasing the downtime of the repairs. So the third one, preventive maintenance. The big thing we want to get after here is as we catch up on overdue preventive maintenance, what we want to implement is called a 10% variance, and it may be a 5% to start, where if that asset is due a 500-hour service, as opposed to waiting until the day and getting it at that 500th hour, because we wouldn't do that with our own cars, right? We want to get it in 50 hours before, or at least 25. That way we can get ahead of that oil breaking down and those grease points breaking down, all right? Inventory management, I kind of hit on at the beginning. Parts ordering and procurement, one of the big issues we had when the heat started to pick up was PTOs. And PTOs are not the easiest things to get, right? It's we got to send them off to get rebuilt. Sometimes that's a week-long process. So for that example, we've procured a PTO of every manufacturer that we use. It stays in our inventory department to where when that asset comes in, that PTO is bad, and we determine we replace it, take that bad PTO, send it off to be rebuilt if possible.
Tim, but wonder if everybody around the table knows what PTO is.
Yeah, okay, so
Power takeoff.
you're talking about a power takeoff, which is what runs the hydraulics. All right, so I apologize for using acronyms. It's just in my blood from the military, but
The motor makes the arm. work.
yes,
Sure.
it makes all the hydraulic functioning for that those refuse trucks and whatever work. Thank you. So this line of effort covers our operational readiness, and this is probably one of the bigger ones to me. So what we've done is we've augmented a solid waste technician every morning at their pre-trips. Right now it's Ken Moyer, but we've seen that pay off pretty quickly, where the quick repairs can happen, or that technician can tell that operator like, hey, make sure you're double checking this, or this needs grease. Let's get that done before it gets out on the road. After that pre-trip inspection is done, we have a rotating calendar, and we pull in a random asset from solid waste every 3 days a week, where we get 6 PPI inspections, precision pre-inspections done. That's where after their operators have done their inspection, we bring it up, and Jason Reisner and his technician that we assign to him goes through it a little bit more thorough, just to make sure that there's that, we have found plenty of things that has probably stopped major repairs from happening, right? Other than that, the repair validation process as well is that QAQC, the quality assurance, quality control process, where as that technician, for example, Malik, finishes his job, the experienced or lead technician or foreman, Brian or Jason Reisner, do a double check on it and make sure that what it came in for was fixed and repaired. And then the last line of effort is efficiency. Really, this is something that we try to get after with the telematics and Geotab, where that is a system that provides us direct information if a check engine light pops out on the road or anything like that. And that is an ongoing process of connecting those devices and making sure that we get that information sent to us in a week. And then the seasonal asset surge, for example, our salt trucks, when it started to get cold, the first thing we did was schedule a technical inspection with them. That way we can get the technicians to go through them and do their, thorough check. Any parts need to get put on order, were put on order. That way when December comes around or, January, and if snow does fall ever in Texas, we'll have those snow trucks and stuff like that available. Same thing with mowers. As the spring comes up, we'll be leaning forward on those as well.
Do we have whole trucks that are snow trucks, or are they just bodies that?
Yeah, we have two, yes, we have two, well, salt trucks, I guess. you
Yeah,
call them.
sand truck.
Sand trucks, yeah. Yes, sir.
And they're actually inserts that just go inside the curtain.
Okay, that's what I was asking. We don't have trucks just sitting there
No.
once every 2 years.
So this graph is what depicts our fleet availability trend from October when Mr. Peter came on and February when I did, and kind of where those adjustments as we've implemented over the last couple of months, most of them from about July or June, have helped us increase our availability. Obviously, there's a significant difference in department, where how much they might be available compared to a department that doesn't get used as much. But it is a successful story to go from a 77% rate to a 92% rate in that amount of time. And then this is where our goal is for fiscal year 26, same lines of effort, same key tasks that we want to continue to move forward with, but with the amount of growth that we've seen on that last slide for fleet availability, our goal is set a little higher this time to try and use that 95%. So here's some of those key tasks that we want to get after for fiscal year 26, which will be the split shifts, which Brendan hinted on at the beginning of the brief, where we'll have that PM shift from 11 to 8 PM. And then enhancing our technician training, which during the budget period, we did request enough finances to get two training periods every year for a technician, which is a huge advantage. We actually have Jason Reisner going to the EDT training in March of 2026, and we just certified 2 C&G technicians, and outsourcing those kind of things were very costly. So we anticipate being able to curb that portion of the budget here in the very near future. And then, again, with the Geotab and faster integration, trying to get these things to talk, and if not, at a minimum, get Geotab to talk to fleet so we know what faults are popping up on those vehicles sooner than later. So here are the highlights. Again, the 25 initiatives, the top 3 that are involved with the PPI program, the 10% variance program, and that split shift beginning. And then the accomplishment, we hit an overall in November of 93% fleet availability. We have 100% of our technicians registered for the ASC certification program and are ongoing studying. And then all fire department assets that you can see with the addition of Kayla Heath are beginning to come in and start getting repaired in-house.
Do you anticipate all of them, or how do you plan to get those back in house?
Well, working with Kirby over the last couple of weeks, we've begun to start the process. As of right now, we haven't, since Kaylee's been on board, we haven't had to outsource anything. It is a little bit of a learning curve because we got to start figuring out what are these common failing parts and everything that Simmons Martin was preparing, and we're going through invoices for the last year to figure out what they were doing to know what we need to stop, right? And as well as resourcing Kaylee with the appropriate tools, because obviously you need a completely different set of tools and resources than a trash truck or something, right? So,
Because they were doing
You can take that.
a lot of preventative maintenance too.
they were, yes, they were doing PMs, but Kaylee is, I think in the last 2 weeks, she's done 3 PMs on the fire. Pending any other questions?
That was Looking for report, I've seen a few, so if their department's running as well as that report. I think it's getting some shape here.
Yeah, I'm excited over the next, I'd say 90 days, that there'll be significant improvement in our operation.
If you have any questions for me, Tim, about.
Well, so Rick and I were just having a conversation, a side conversation about, you know, it's 93% availability. That's great. But I'm wondering, right. I'm wondering sort of what divisions there are within fleet, right? There's solid waste trucks, there's emergency vehicles, et cetera. Is there a division within all of fleet that is struggling as far as availability or?
Currently, our front end trucks in solid waste, and our solid waste roll-off trucks.
Are in need of attention? Meaning it's not enough, or they're worn out, or?
They're worn out, and we're trying to get them all ready. Some new ones are breaking down, old ones are breaking down.
So in general, for fleet, you have two major splits. You have the heavy duty side and the light duty side. Heavy duty side is gonna be obviously your solid waste trucks, your fire engines, and trucks, your low metal equipment, you know, so dump trucks, backhoes, things like that. And then light duty side is gonna be, you know, your passenger style vehicles, mowers, weed eaters, police vehicles. And so that's there to organizationally, they're divided into light duty and then heavy duty. And then, of course, in each of those, you've got your solid waste fleet, you've got your emergency. So I think you're asking more about not really a division within fleet, but how the operational customer, if there's an area that is struggling more.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I mean, so again, part of our side conversation, it wasn't that long ago whenever we received a presentation. And it, that there was about 50% availability, right? And so I said something, she said, well, that was within solid waste specifically. That made, you know, 93% availability is great. But if you have 100% availability across, you know, lots of areas, and then you have, you know, 60% availability in one major area, then,
You're on the struggle bus.
well, and we, as we begin to talk about, can't believe we got a invite to our first budget workshop already for next year. We need to know about those things, right? We need to, you know, as we are putting the budget together, we need to know what trouble spots are and and where those priorities might be
And it's not.
as they're coming along, so we can wrap our heads around spending that kind of money.
It's also, Mayor, not as simple as saying, you know, what is the fleet availability in solid waste overall? Because, because the vehicles are specific to the containers that they are picking up. So I can have 100% availability of residential side load. And if I don't have a commercial front load, those trucks are doing me absolutely no good. You're
Right.
gonna have restaurants with dumpsters that are overflowing. So it's really, in solid waste, it's really down to the specific container type of truck, because they're just not interchangeable. And so, you know, I mentioned on the consent agenda, there were a couple of, well, there's 3 items related to purchases for solid waste trucks. One of those is related to 2 front load trucks. So as Don mentioned, that's the area that we continue to have the most, razor thin margins for solid waste. I think we've received all of the trucks that we've ordered, and are in a pretty good spot for side load residential, but front load, side load commercial, we've received 2 new trucks, so we're, is that right?
We just received one.
Well, one was about 6 months ago though, so I'm still gonna count that as new, Justin, for at least another 6 months.
We still have one. We have one on.
Okay, so we have one more on the way then. Okay, I'm sorry. But we are, front load is where we have the most, needs right now.
And the variable to that, if I can interject, Mr. Mayor, the equipment we're still receiving because of the COVID issue is stuff that we ordered years ago. So imagine ordering something in 2022 and it's sat somewhere just sat in a lot for a year and a half. And now when it gets here, yeah, we got dry rot tires, we have wiring harnesses that have been chewed up and stuff like that and spliced. So it's kind of some of the stuff our technicians are dealing with on our level. We just got a refurbished one back today that we haven't sent back to the manufacturer because the wiring harness is completely unrepairable.
I didn't know that. Thanks, hearing from hearing what you're saying, Mayor, you're saying it would be helpful for you during the budget process to be able to see if we look at operational areas, right? So just solid waste, for example, to be able to see a fleet availability for commercial front load, residential side load, commercial side load, roll off, rush and bulk, right? So that's their 5 kind of operational areas, and to be able to say, we're looking good in this, this, and this, and maybe these 2 need some attention.
I agree, that would be helpful for when people ask us questions.
Yeah.
We can get that, thank you.
Yeah, we can.
I know that's a lot of detail, right? And we're obviously not gonna make decisions about, we're gonna buy this, but you know, we're not getting into the weeds like that. But to Mike's point, it's good to know and to be able to, you know, at least be useful when a resident talks to us about it. Instead of kind of throwing up your hands. You know, it's just because obviously that's been high visibility last couple of years.
And it's useful information all the way down, so
It is.
it's not.
Yeah.
New extra work that is just to answer a question.
If I could say what we have and what's on the way, we have enough trucks. We still have repairs that need to happen to get all the trucks active. And with the changes that we're making with maintenance, preventative maintenance side, the geotab, the technology we're putting in the trucks and all of that, it's gonna help the changes that we made in the last year. I see the light and the vision, if that makes sense.
And we'll have enough that if
Yes.
something go down, we're not
And,
picking up.
and there's 2 factions of that, right? If we just keep buying trucks and throwing at a problem, that's more trucks they're gonna have to repair, right? So there's that side of it. We need to find the right balance and of how many exactly we need and just keep them running, move forward, right? So that's the goal.
Yeah.
I can probably, I need to introduce James Larimore. He's my assistant director, but he is on the phone like 15 times a day with Tim, talking about trucks. He could probably tell you exactly where we're at with each division if y'all want to know now.
So I was gonna, just to what Mr. Olson said, we do track by division those numbers on a daily basis. So providing that information to you for a budget workshop is simply clicking print. We track to the specific asset. We have 5 divisions, our division availability every day. And I can provide those to you anytime. They're always on.
Okay. That's just useful information.
Yeah, it's, nothing makes a difference whether we provide it, so it's not tedious at all, the information. Now, the implementation of the split shift is gonna be less of an operational decision about with solid waste, whether they take a truck off the yard or not. So 2 things that are gonna help us get in front and try to do more preventative maintenance as opposed to unscheduled repairs is we've got predictive metrics on the trucks now. That's getting telemetry. The fleet guys. And then we also have availability of staff after hours when those assets are scheduled to be on the road. So it's not an impact on your delivery of service to do additional maintenance.
How many, I know there's inventory specialists, you know, for the overnight staff, but how many actual technicians that are wrenching on the trucks do we have right now on the second shift, late shift, whatever we're calling it?
There'll be 3 to start, and Oscar will be the foreman. And he'll physically be working.
Yeah. Okay.
So Oscar
How many
plus
does he
3.
do?
Yes,
So he'll kind of be fun,
He's
as a
leading
team
this
lead.
morning,
of
so
the oranges
they'll
too.
have more to do.
and we are interviewing more. We just, we want to pick the right person.
Sure, of course.
We've got 11 heavy duty tech warm bodies.
Yes.
how are we on pay with them, would you say? I mean, you know, so Ken said this, something at Fort Hood, right, they furloughed some folks came available, that's great. But, you know, we could be just as big a danger of losing them if, you know, something else rolls around.
Well, sir,
How
luckily-
competitive are we? That's
Yeah,
what I want to know.
luckily Pod is working with us to adjust the requirements for our career ladder. Because there are some technicians like Kerry Woods, for example, he's a 50-year-old man, and he's making $24 an hour. That's within the industry, that's hard to keep, but he's a dedicated employee that ain't going nowhere. But in adjusting that career ladder, I can promote him to Tech 2, and that $3.50 raise is really gonna help keep him on the team. So we're working through that. It's something I identified when I got here, that there were a lot of prerequisites for the amount of pay we're paying, that we're not gonna get those master techs.
Okay.
So I think to your point with some of the recent hires, we did go through some exercises. Some of those came from private sector competitors, and you know, we got some good data around what were you making over here, but what's a good going rate?
Yeah.
And we've been able to adjust and adapt. Trying to keep it moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I was gonna add to Tim, and he was talking really fast, so I didn't want to interrupt him, but and certainly I think that, you know, the Fort Hood contract was, beneficial to us, but, like, for example, there's a technician who we, stole from, Simmons Martin, and we paid, our compensation is set at a rate that's competitive with them to where they came back to us and have an EBT certification. So it's not just luck of timing, but it is, you all approved compensation. You all approved funding for me to adjust compensation in the budget along with the additional positions that you approved. And we feel like we're in a good spot there.
We talked about it, but it's nice to see that hopefully it's working. And that whenever a new diesel shop contract is given at Fort Hood, we don't lose that crew,
Right.
you know, straight away back to them.
That career ladder was originally developed with a little bit of consideration of years of experience, but a lot more things that are easier to check whether they have or not, certifications and specialties, and so forth. And, my father-in-law's been a master technician for 50 years. So I took him through our facility and I just said, talk to people, keep your eyes open, tell me what you think. And 3/4 of our conversation during and after were about, you need to have experienced people who have learned how to troubleshoot.
Yeah.
Don't need somebody to look over their shoulder, know how to problem solve. And so I think we still have some more adjustments to do that career ladder, maybe put some more weight on overall years of experience. That would help with retention also. So next up, you know, your solid waste director, Justin Brantley. Been in the position going on 7 years out of his 10 years of service with us.
Okay, so, just like Tim, I'm not gonna go through per org chart, but I do want to show the new positions that we've had in the last year. These are all driver positions except for, a couple of maintenance guys and James, who I introduced him. So if you, Mayor, I know you're a numbers guy, but if you count that, it's, out of 55 positions that we have in solid waste, that's quite a bit of number of drivers that we've had turnover, but we have a really good crew. So, and I think the last year when we did the compensation study and all that, that has helped, and we're hopefully retaining it.
These are new people or new positions?
These are new people.
Vacated.
Yes. Just for example, like brush and bulk, you see 6 drivers under there, we have 8 positions under brush. So that staff, 6 out of 8 are within the last year. Lots of training opportunities, lots of, you know, getting them going, but it's, we have a really good crew. I'm proud.
What about hours worked? I know there were some issues with,
Hours worked are, since we've done the rebalance of the routes. We added the garbage routes, and the recycle routes. Those guys are getting off by 3 o'clock, 3:30, somewhere in there.
5 days a week.
5 days a week, yes, sir. And some of the guys didn't like the 5 days, they left. They loved having that Wednesday off. For, some people just like working 10 hours a day for 4 days a week.
Yeah.
But the guys that stuck, they love it. We do have a more abundance of trucks than we had in the past. I would say we're not all the way there yet, but we are getting our job done on time most of the time.
Are still hot seating time?
We are. Front load, we are. Residential, today, 17 routes, we have 14 trucks. So those 14 go out there and run their route. And then 5 or 6 of them get together and do one route, right? So they're getting the job done in an ample amount of time. But we're not totally there where we can have that perfect 8-hour day and spend time doing other stuff besides just pull trash.
Thank you.
Justin, you mentioned a lot of turnover, and that is certainly to be expected, but can you think of anything that would slow the turnover rate down?
I think the things that we put in place is gonna slow it down. And like I said, the 5-hour, 5-day work week, and we're not working. A year and a half ago, we were working till 8:30 at night.
Yeah.
And guys just got drained and tired of that.
Yeah.
So I think having the rebalance the routes, lighter workloads every day, but spread it over 5-day work, the guys are much happier.
I think starting the day off with the trucks in better condition is gonna help retain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Fleet's efforts of what they're doing to help us, spending a guy every morning overlooking us as we're doing our pre-trips, making sure that the drivers have something wrong, they can call that guy over, say, hey, can we get this fixed real quick, or does it need to be fixed? Is this something that's, gonna hurt if we go run it for 7 hours, that kind of thing, so.
Just running not junky equipment is good for morale.
Yes, sir. The 8 new trucks certainly help. That's good, residential trucks on that side, so.
As you all know, it was a very hard couple of years for solid waste.
Yeah.
And so certainly have turned a corner, and we appreciate y'all's leadership, your investment in both the solid waste, but also Fleet, which, is directly tied to the success for solid waste. And so I think that we're seeing good payoffs even early, as we've, as you just heard on Fleet, made a lot of the hires that you've authorized, in October. And so I think we're on a good track, but it was a hard year.
2 years.
Hard to-ish.
Yeah.
Thank you for that correction,
No,
Justin.
no, I'm not correcting.
You're very right. It was more than a year.
I'm just gonna highlight some accomplishments. We did ship to the same day, 5-day collection week. What that means, garbage and recycling the same day. That I think has been a positive. We're doing 10 garbage routes, 7 recycle routes, Monday through Friday. We've increased the on-time route completion. This is the biggest thing, decreased recycling contamination from 21% to 14%. So think about your options, your garbage. If you had a Monday garbage day and a recycle Thursday day, and you wanted to throw out that stinky garbage, what would you do? You'd probably throw it in your recycle can and get rid of it. So that, picking them up on the same day, we are increasing our bottom line with recycling and decreasing that contamination.
Aren't we about 50% contaminated a few years ago?
The highest we've been in the last 7 years is 24%. I don't know what it was before I started, but the highest we've been is 20.
We were never out of it.
Never out of the 20s. Okay. But 14%, that's national average, as I've said, there's 17%. It's even there, you can Google it, and I've seen in the 20s where that's normal. So I'm really proud of that. We have received all 11 of the trucks on order. The 11th is the first refurbished one. Tim just said we had issues, but hopefully we'll get that fixed soon. So I was hoping to get that one going this month. We are currently working on the 11th and 8th routes. So this fiscal year, we're gonna do an 11th garbage route and 8th recycle route and even lighten the load on the trucks even more. We have trucks and the staff. I don't think we've hired the staff yet, but once, GIS, I've been working with Kelly and her team. Once they, get the route set up, then we'll go to work on that. As Tim pointed out, and, we've had an increased focus and collaboration with Fleet, regarding preventative maintenance. As Fleet HD Tech spends first hour at our complex, we've moved to twice a week greasing schedules for the residential trucks. We were doing once a week. We moved to twice a week. Those just so many tips. So we decided to grease those twice at Fleet's help with that. So, he talked about the precision inspections, like he said, 3 trucks a week, that we're picking out, and going over a little like a fine tooth comb. And also we've scheduled preventative maintenance days. That's something that is a big change. In the past, we would just take a truck in for a repair and they would see it and be like, oh, this needs a PM. And then they would get it done. So it's a big improvement on what it has been. We talked about telemetry, installing Geotab in all of the trucks. We have not got it in all the new trucks yet. We've got the stuff on order. And then I think by January, we're gonna have a meeting with Geotab and they're gonna train us all to make sure that we know what we're doing with the technology that's in our trucks.
Give us a 2-minute explanation of Geotab.
Geotab plugs into, I don't know the port name, but there's a port in the truck. And it will tell you what the oil temperature is, what the transmission temperature is. If you've got check engine light, anything bells and whistles going off that the driver may be like, I just want to finish my job. We'll get an email as soon as that happens. Fleet gets an email as soon as it happens. It also helps with the GPS. We have RouteWare, but Geotab will also do it's a GPS system as well. And there's lots of things we can buy, even driver behavior. We can know how fast he's going, if he's wearing a seatbelt. In the future, we're gonna put cameras in the trucks to kind of monitor driver behavior that way as well. But and it'll all be tied to the Geotab system.
Okay.
So it will predict maintenance needs based on trends in the data that it's reading.
Right.
So if there's a change in the RPM of a component on the truck over time, then it will say, it'll send an alert out, say, hey, you need to look at this and possibly replace a part, rather than just waiting on the part to show signs of failure and then the engine light come on. And then you see that, you need to bring it in. It does predictive diagnostics.
A little further, PTOs are only supposed to be operated at low RPMs, right? The hydraulics of the trucks. If the driver is not turning the PTO off before he gets on the loop and he's starting to drive and he burns that up, we'll know. Geotab will tell us that. So we could correct that behavior.
Are cameras not required now?
They're not. No, ma'am. But the system we're looking at, it's gonna.
Insurance might require it.
Yeah. The system we're looking at is gonna have a frontward facing, rear facing, side facing for collections and in cab. So, and I think that will help with our insurance, to your point.
Yeah.
Once we get all that stuff. Brush and bulk. We'll talk about that a little bit. I know y'all probably have some questions on it. As you know, we moved to once a month brush and once a month bulk for each home. Schedule on a weekly basis, and we've always finished the scheduled collections that people have requested. And I want to thank Heather Mikulas and the customer care teams. They have kind of taken the lead. Obviously they take all the requests and they help us with the weekly building of the routes, or daily, actually. We stay up with it almost daily. But
Use every house in town as a door hanger, as a door hanger.
so I actually learned today, Brenda did not get one. I need to call this out. She did not get a door hanger. And so I asked my staff, I'm like, y'all bring me the maps.
I don't think I did either.
Really? Okay.
That's my wife.
I didn't.
You did? All right. We used to, as y'all know, we used temporary agency to hang the door hangers. My staff gave them maps. The temporary workers would go out with the door hangers and the maps, and they would bring us back the highlighted maps. Brent, I brought your map in. Your street was not highlighted, and that's my bad. They actually went all the way around you, your whole neighborhood, but did not do your street.
They thought Brent would spread the
Thought you
word.
were telling.
Yeah.
That's okay. I know what to do.
Yeah.
I just,
You're gonna do your street tomorrow.
that is not what I was asking for. I was saying that I think council would like an update
No, but
on.
I mean, it
Yes,
showed me
yes.
that we had a kink.
I was not complaining about not receiving
No, I know.
any door hangers.
But it actually showed me that we had a kink in our system, and my staff did not look at every single street on every map. And so we're gonna go back to that, and I still have door hangers, and we're gonna make sure that we finish that.
Justin, let's make sure Brent gets support.
Look, now don't contribute to my recycling collection.
We did actually, I thought we were complete before, the week before Thanksgiving, that on the Friday is the last day that we did the last area. So we actually went in areas 1 through 8 of the city and did that, but if we're gonna have a deeper dive in actually every street, so. We are still hanging door hangers for unscheduled piles. So when we see piles out there that are not on the schedule, that have not been requested, we go and hang door on those, and we do that every Friday.
Good.
Yeah, so, we're continuing to educate the public, but, go ahead.
And some of that education, can we just, encourage people to, if they see their neighbor with a little pile, to tell their neighbor, they can put it on my pile and.
Customer,
They call
yeah, customer care has done that, yeah. They, we get the calls, Heather's team gets the calls from the angry neighbors. So, and then every Friday, we have like a list of streets that they keep track of, and we go out, and if we see pile, we hang it where hanger. So we're attacking that.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to, you can be neighborly instead of just saying, hey, you never picked up my neighbor in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Be neighborly and tell your neighbor, I'm putting out a load next week. You can put it on, I'll help you put it on my pile, or
Right,
and encouraging that would probably,
yeah.
being a good neighbor there, but might help with some of that.
There's still, I've seen areas around town that have piles out there, and I keep hangers in my truck, right? Like, when I'm driving around, I'll just, call and see if that's been requested, and if it hasn't, I'll go and hang a door hanger. But overall, I believe the city looks a lot cleaner with this system in place than it has in a long time. That's my, I don't, opinion, belief, but
Better.
yeah.
Better.
How about east side? So have we come up with a solution for the vacant lots that are now trash? I see a lot of mattresses. I know there might have been a Friday sale somewhere, but there's a lot of, and they're stacked neatly, but there's just a lot of.
Yeah, no one's gonna call an empty lot requested unless the neighbor does. There are times we've gone out and picked them up, I'll be honest. I don't want to do that all the time because that creates if I put it here, they'll just come get it. Yeah. But
The procedure now is to call those into code compliance.
Yes.
And
So
we-
Buford's department needs to take those first so he can treat them as a case to investigate. And that will be a long, slow uphill battle to eventually.
Some public education on that might help too, because at one time they might have picked that up if it were at least on the front of the vacant lot.
So we have developed a protocol with code compliance, so, they have a really nice cover letter. I know from time to time, y'all have probably heard from residents about, the statutorily required letter that sounds so mean about, if you get this, you're gonna get fined $2,000 a day. So we developed a really nice cover letter that is sent with the brush and bulk. If we become aware of a lot that, or really, it doesn't even have to be a vacant lot. Just if the door hanger doesn't work and they're still not picking up, then we say we have this letter that's sent with the statutorily required language in the back, but a really nice appealing letter on the front that says this is a code violation. here's how you can schedule your pickup. It has, you know, a nice link and a big, I'll make sure you all get a copy of one. And then then basically though, it communicates that if you don't schedule this, then, we're gonna have to proceed with, enforcement. And at that time, if we have to remediate it through the code enforcement process, it will get scheduled with Justin. But if we don't go through that process and we just pick up on the vacant lots, we will not change the behavior in the future.
I get that too.
I'm gonna step through this chart of numbers I've got on there. I wanna highlight a few things. Landfill tonnage from August 24 to 25, you can see, this is just for the brush and bulk division of how much tonnage we have taken between, we started the program in August. So from August 24, 950 tons to August 25, 309 tons. If we go down the chart, mileage is roughly the same. We're still driving about the same amount of miles. DRA trips. Now that we're teaching people and we're holding them accountable to have brush in one pile, bulk in another, and only request one or the other, or both at the same day if they want to. But we have a brush truck and a bulk truck. VRA trips, so that's 79 trips that we were able to take brush to the VRA and not put in our landfill.
Which means it wasn't commingled.
That's correct.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's the key.
That's the key. And so, you think about how much tonnage and difference of tipping fees that we pay. You know, we pay our own tipping fees in a land. So our costs are coming down because of this change. Because we're making sure it's not commingled. We're still driving mileage, but I think as utilization increases, more people have requested, we can shorten the miles we drive because we'll have more number of pickups per day in a certain area. That makes sense. So.
And Justin, I just thought of this just now. Another good thing about going to the landfill, less trips, probably less risky to the trucks.
It's a whole lot easier than trucks now.
Sometimes they get hurt because they're in the landfill.
That's right.
You're just driving over
You
stuff.
get a flat a lot of a third time.
That's right, the tires and everything else.
That's all right out there.
So landfill trips, 273 in August of 24, 2024, 109, so. And then here are the requests. In August of 25, we had, 1,123 brush requests, and then 711 bulk requests and 1,800 for the month. So, and then you can see on the cross, and it is ticking up as the programs, and I expect spring, right? We'll have a lot of brush, so it's very seasonal. Also, this collection is very seasonal. Winter time, it kind of goes down. We did have the opportunity to have a brush and bulk safety skills day out at the new training facility for police and fire. They're gracious enough to let us use it for a day out there. So just some pictures here of us having training day. You can see we put beach balls on some buckets and tried to see who could pick it up without squeezing without creating the beach ball to go to smithereens. I actually tried it and I caught one. So very skilled, kind of goes to the guys and not digging up the yard. Because they have to use that grapple. We don't want to dig holes in the yard. So we kind of put some skills and fun things together for this group.
That's great.
Yeah. The top right was bucket of water. How much water you can still, I was picking up that bucket of water and not crushing the bucket either. So. Some other accomplishments I'm proud of. We started our dumpster painting with reclaimed paint. As y'all know, we've been taking paint and it's our, if we think it's our duty to take that paint, mix it up, reuse it, and we started painting dumpsters with it. So top left is an old dumpster in our paint booth. The top right is the after picture of that one, and then bottom left and bottom right. So we had our HHW event in October. We had a new record this year, 697 cars. It was a good day, and it actually, we changed the hours this year. We used to be 9 to 2, we went from 8 to 1. At 8 o'clock, I'll show you a picture here in a second. We were lined up and we were honestly done at like 12:30. So it was awesome.
Good.
Alley closures, I know y'all probably think, we talked about moving the 300s. Up to, right now, we've closed 63 of the alleys. We have about 40 something to go. So 60% done with the city. We will get it done this fiscal year. I challenged my staff to get it done by spring. I'm gonna say most likely summer. But, we will get it done. Currently reviewing final draft of the last landfill master plan. And then, with the change to brush and bulk, we're doing a spring bulk drop-off event for residents. It's the first one we're gonna do in April 18th, where people can just bring all their bulk stuff out to the solid waste complex for free. And if they don't wanna put it on their yard, request a pickup, they can just bring it to us and we'll take care of it.
Just what is closed alley, what does that mean?
We're not necessarily closing the alleys behind homes, but we're getting rid of the big 300 black shared trash bin.
Got it.
Yeah, and so that's probably it.
You still have other utilities, you got
Yeah.
gas, water, power. So,
And the reason you're doing that, Justin?
The kind of the main reason is a lot of illegal dumping happens in those big 300 gallons. A lot of people get free service by driving down the alleys and putting their trash in somebody else's trash. Another reason is that heavy load is hard on our hydraulics. That big 300 gallon, that's a big wear and tear on our vehicles. It's easier to pick up 95 gallons than it is 300. Yeah, so.
So the smaller cans are going in the front, so yeah.
Depends on where you live, like Canyon Creek area, improved alley, it's asphalt. Those, we're gonna keep the collections. It's wherever your recycle can is collected is where your trash cans will be collected.
I think probably the better way, I think they kind of, and they operationally say closed alleys, but really it's transitioning from 300 gallons to individual 96 gallon.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have anything to do with closing the alleys, and it doesn't even mean that the collection doesn't happen in the alleys. It's really about whether it's a shared 300 gallon can or a individual can.
Yeah, that's my mistake.
they've never protected those 300 gallon plastic containers, especially in the summer. They're really weak, they break, you have to exchange them twice. That's horrible.
Another reason, Tracy, I forgot this when you asked me, put me on the spot, but the 300 gallon containers, there's only about 2 or 3 people that's making those now, and they're expensive. To replace those, I think it's close to $1,000 per can. The 95 gallon containers are $65. So it's another reason to do that.
Well, thank you for that. I get 50% less calls now. So I really appreciate it.
And also sorry, but go ahead.
Are you seeing less mattresses and stuff in the alley since that too?
No, that's still there,
That's
but
still the same.
the complaints have gone down.
You're getting our maintenance costs in the alleys too, with the heavy garbage trucks going down.
Yeah, it's better to have our trucks, I mean, in the original parts of town with traditional alleys. It's better not to have to drive down those, mess them up for kidding when they're muddy, but also we're dependent on the residents to maintain those alleys to keep from slapping our trucks with. They driving over their trash that they throw back there, or slapping our trucks with tree branches, so, it's better on the trucks.
Top left picture is the 8 o'clock line at our HHW event, and it was almost all the way to Fire Station 2 from our facility to the solid waste complex, down Avenue H. Just some other pictures. We did fill 2 52-foot trailers, semi trailers full of tires from that event. So, yeah. Another thing that may or may not be on y'all's radar, but y'all know that we did the renewable natural gas at the landfill. This is the first fiscal year of what it brought for that project. So Tracy's team tracks this, and I just wanted to throw this in there because I think it's a big deal to the city, and So it's just a feel good story there. I believe that we can actually fill our trucks with the CNG fuel. We get out of it.
That's not even the full year there.
That's not a full year. That's the first fiscal year that we started. So
And there's a minimum payment on that, right? Like 25 grand or something like that?
there is, but we've never, as you see, the first payment was 27,000.
Right.
And so that was above the minimum.
Mhm.
And then it's increased since then. So we're staying right around that 50.
Justin, so it looks like production started slow and has increased every month. Have we pretty much topped out where we think production will?
I
go?
believe so. I mean, as we put more well, or, gas wells in, goes to a new, cell in the landfill, then production should increase. So the next time we open another 13-acre cell where we're throwing trash in, there's gonna be more wells on that, and that only increase.
They just put it in the line.
I think do we have an escalation, quality, the percentage like after year 5?
We do, we're currently getting 4% of the proceeds, and then after year 4, I think, it goes up to 7%. So,
Like that would have been.
in 3 more years, we should see an increase just on the percentage of getting.
Nearly double.
Yes, it should double. Next 6 months, obviously Christmas time, we're gonna do Christmas tree recycling, and our grease recycle for drop off for cooking. And then, I talked about implementing the 11th garbage and 8th cycle route. We're gonna have a spring shred event, March 28th, and then April 18th is gonna be that bulk drop off day. We are gonna implement the second commercial side load route, when that truck gets here.
Okay,
Yeah, and we're gonna finalize.
got ahead of myself.
We're gonna finalize the landfill master plan, and then we're also looking at starting construction on the new recycle drop-off center that's gonna be across from solid waste complex. We're gonna have a 24/7 recycle center there, outside of our compound, if you call it, our fence that closes, so. And then also, we're gonna have, add some additional parking for our heavy duty trucks and employee parking to stay up with the line that we're growing. Happy to answer any questions.
Can you talk about the new, drop off? Do we still have the glass
We do,
over by Dover?
yes, sir, we do. And we're gonna have a second one at the new drop off there, so it's kind of a east side, and then centrally located. Maybe one day we'll go west, so.
And Dustin, can you check your house drive? My wife said.
Church House Drive. You got that, James? Right there.
On the area.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's all good news.
thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, so everybody in the room, raise your hand if you are with the city or any stars.
You were before Katie. What year did Kenny start?
93.
93, okay.
We actually started in 87.
I was.
Kenny's 32-year anniversary, city is Saturday.
Now where's Ken still here? 'Cause he's not old.
I think Tim is Asian.
50-year-old.
He did, I'm so fast.
Mine's gonna be pretty short. I didn't put this together because it was supposed to be last week. And I was having a grandbaby, so. Or my last one, so having one. These are some of our accomplishments. We're gonna get into some other stuff. We completed our slurry field and resurfacing program. For a year, we started our annual overlay. We're doing some today, but they're gonna shut off after today. Mike knows this, asphalt plant stops for Christmas. They don't come.
Hey, is what's on, what this, put on Wildfire Drive, is that still seal?
No,
Asphalt.
we started the drainage project at Deerfield Estate, where we haven't been, there was 2 days this week we didn't get in there because we were streaking. We're gonna continue going. We're hoping we'll be out of there right after Christmas and. We'll be tearing the cut sheet up, bread shot and then cut sheet. We've done a lot of changes with traffic safety. And most of them have been positive. So we've changed some of the phasing you'll see. And these are just some of the intersections we've changed spacing, so far, so pretty good. I'm gonna show you some charts in them that show what we've done with new cities.
Can you explain that to me? Split phasing and chain phasing?
Split phasing means instead of being traffic actuated, you're gonna give so much time to the main thoroughfare. And if that camera or radar doesn't pick any more traffic, it's gonna take its leftover time and give it to the side. Okay, it's not gonna, it's gonna run max and minutes. You have a minimum set time, but once it sees it's clear, it's gonna take that leftover stuff and give it to the side street to clear more. And then if there's just no traffic, it'll go just to run a minimum, but it's always gonna change. Some of them we only do that during peak out, and then say at 9 o'clock at night, it goes to traffic action, everyone's moving. Why does it pull up on, let's say Westfield? It's never gonna get, we're not gonna change it. But during peak hour, we're finding right now, the split phasing work really better than traffic.
I can tell it takes me less time to get to my house from here.
Oh, yeah. And I'll show you some.
I tell everybody it's 40% faster. Whether it is or not. I don't know if it is, that's what I tell them.
Well, just right. I don't know how many, we did some stuff at Adams and Irvine. And I wouldn't have done it the way they did it. As soon as I got in, my phone, I don't know how many minutes. But I said, let's go back, let's go range back on this, and then do it kind of right forward. I did the math and everybody can show me, ox text out a little bit. Probably doing that in the future is gonna help. But we're gonna have to go about it. So. But it's probably gonna end up helping there, because right now, you rob Peter to pay Paul. If you get people out of the jug handle, they people are gonna sell them. Because it's not close enough to any other signal really. Kind of state. Our coordination on what that was really good stuff. Okay. Here's some of our KPIs we passed. This is 90 days. Okay. This is 1,900, almost 2,000 pounds. The more we slurry seal, and the more we overlay you. And we prepared 74 utility cuts, not much we can do about that. We trimmed trees, 552 addresses. We repaired 641 signs, installed 76 new street signs. This is all new subdivisions. That doesn't. And then we had 265 signal malfunctions. And we're no longer waiting on phone calls. Generally, my phone rings by text. My phone was going off because we got King Creek, 31st, which is going to tell us something. So I didn't know if we're gonna have preemption to get us over there or whatever. So
That's just
We'll never tell.
these guys eat up over. They're constantly. You can't really change anything. You really don't want to reset a signal without having mixed in the ground. There's just too many unknowns. So even though they can do it remotely, we won't let us. But this is just a road I didn't really know this. And this is a sidewalk that we put in over at, it's temporary. But we noticed, I talked to Dr. Ott, these kids from the subdivision really walking on the edge of the 45-mile-an-hour road in a ditch to get to school because they suspended the busing in the neighborhood. It was less than a mile. So we had to do something. So we threw in a little 4-foot sidewalk for them to get from their subdivision to a crossing guard, then cross the road that ditch. Yeah, when we expand this will go.
How many people are on that sidewalk crew?
4.
It's been that way all along.
Yes, sir.
Are y'all backed up?
Oh, yes,
Got plenty of work.
about 20 years.
Okay, that's all.
Hey, y'all were gonna add another crew, right?
Yeah, it's in the business plan, yes.
That means council has to prove it. It's in the business. plan.
I hope we already approved it.
We have one.
It's not, it's in the business plan in terms of it is not it's FY 26. The only thing we approved in FY 26 was the fleet, firefighters, solid waste, assistant city manager, and some engineers. So everything else got deferred.
Okay.
And then as you recall, we're asking, I think it's, like, lose track of time a little bit, but I think it's today's agenda for the transportation user fee, which will help us assess potential revenue sources for future needs, including the 6 additional crews that we talked about in Kenny's area, which was concrete crew, additional reconstruction crew, patch crew, alley crew, tree trimming crew, and pavement marking crew. And the study also would also evaluate our drainage fee, which would be separate, but would address the other part of his department, which would be potential additional drainage maintenance funds.
We picked 2, we have, both of these are on West Adams, they're on this sheet. And in the AM, we had a 6% reduction in travel time. And a 24% reduction in travel time in the PM. That is cheap. Really good. And then eastbound, we had a 29% reduction in travel time in AM. And 14% reduction in PM, which means that even West Temple, even West Temple coming into town. And these are big numbers. This is, in my career, this is the biggest bang for the buck.
Thank you, Barry.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing, on southbound, on 31st Street southbound. 31st Street's a little more trickier because the signals seem like once you hit the roof, like everything. But we were well within anywhere from 11% to 12% reduction. We did 2 key. So, and we're gonna continue to work. We're gonna continue on this. I thought that was pretty good stuff. One of the things, we have had numerous cities, and I wanted to get a list for you, but I think we've had 3 or 4 so far come in and look at our operation. I know Victoria was one of them, and we've actually got a call from Corpus Christi to come up and look at it. So we're having people come and see how we're doing and see the setup. These are just some of the new guys. I kind of want to get into there. Everybody's talking about a career ladder. After COVID, we were desolate. I mean, there was times I think we got down to less than 50%. Right? And it was all about operators. We could not hire an operator for what the pay was, and it's especially experience. So we did a career ladder and it really gives us a chance to go out. And we got 3 ex-Textile employees, a couple contractors, 2 county employees work for the city. And it's all thanks to that career ladder. We can hire them in at a wage competitive or more than what they work by their years of experience. So it really worked for us. I think we're at about 95% full. And we've been 100. We're staying between 9. More faces. We actually, this due to the career ladder traffic signal. This is a traffic signal guy. First one I've ever hired as a tech that had experience in Honolulu. Lost a little there. You gotta take care of her. But it was still kind of cool that he had the certifications coming. It's a big in the next 90 days, we should complete signal design at, Loop and 438. That's taking a little bit longer. We have a lot more text on review because it's my family. And then, we started design for, Adams and Kleinite Grove, new fire station that's gonna go in out there. They will have preemption at the fire station. We will have installed 12 battery backups at various locations. That's our yearly thing. We're trying to get to 100%. These are some of the ones we're gonna split phase. This one's due to construction when it starts, so we're going to split phase part of Luther King in 95 because it's really backing up on one area. We're gonna try to split it. We'll finish the annual overlay. We will complete the Deerfield work. And then we actually started this week, I think, on the Feed My Sheep sidewalk that runs the entire block down South Third. So they give it connection to the South Third from Avenue. Helping, some G's all the way down.
You do have it on your slide, so we are not that smart. Says West Avenue G to West Avenue E.
Oh, I didn't. I'm getting over size. Any questions?
Kenny, you were 96% staff.
How much staff do you have?
55 folks.
Yeah, 3 departments were 100% in traffic signal and then it's a couple of people in the area.
Very good. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you.
Good job.
Brendan, can I introduce Roger Blake?
Thank you.
Raj, stand up and wave. He will be handling the consultant work associated with transportation and drainage fee analysis. He will not be handling the public involvement. James and I will be the first line of defense against that.
Roger is our new Chief Project Officer on the development review side. So as Richard retired and no, I didn't authorize it, he went ahead and did it anyways. We have promoted James Billick to city engineer. As y'all know, James has spent a lot of time on with our capital projects, and that's kind of his strength and love. Richard was more in the development side and delegated a lot of the capital project oversight to James. James will kind of switch that, where he'll keep more of our CIP projects, and Roger has come on as his deputy city engineer, chief project officer, and will be our primary liaison with the development community and the primary leader for the development review process as it relates to engineering. So he started a couple of months ago. Has had some good meetings. He did a meet and greet. I think I made you do it even before you started with Tava. So we're happy to have him. Yes, we're happy to have him. And I think he'll do great things for that division of the engineering department. So we're glad to have him. I believe, are you a Temple resident?
Yes.
Yeah, so we were able to hire one of our own.
Nice.
Very good. Good, welcome. Okay. Anything else before we close down the workshop? All right, so we will adjourn the workshop. I'll tell you executive session. The way I look at it. Moving into executive, well, I guess, I'm sorry, you're right, wrong language there. All right, we will now move into executive session. It's currently about 10 minutes after 4.
Or maybe the mayor.
I'm gonna work on the agenda. So we will enter into executive session to discuss the employment duties and work plan of the city attorney. Texas Government Code 551074. The city council will move to executive session to discuss the employment and duties of the city